The sun is setting right over my shoulder. As soon as we're done, my wife and I go walking with Riley.
I know, that's nice. I'm taking my son to basketball practice shortly after this. So
see, once they get older, they drive themselves.
I know that would be, although sometimes what I'll do is I'll run or walk while he's at practice just so I can get it in. Yeah.
I used to do that. I remember that back with Paige. Like she'd have soccer practice, places where there was a track,
Yeah. You're running the track. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. She's like, Dad.
Like, well, I got to get this in at some point to get some activity today.
100%. But now it's like, Mallory has a car. I never see her. Yeah. She's like, where'd you go? Chick-fil-A.
My oldest is almost 12. So we're not quite there yet, but another few years. So
it happens quick. I remember she was 12 like 5 minutes ago. Now she's never see her. She's at cheer practice right now.
What year is she in school?
Junior.
Oh, junior. Okay. Yeah.
And then the other one's 27 already. It's crazy. Running a basketball team up in Chicago.
Oh yeah, I heard you talk about. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. She's living the dream. She gets to run a basketball team for a living. I mean, working in sports.
Yeah,
that's what I always wanted to do. She's getting to do what I always wanted to. So more power to her. Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We're here with Vanessa out in Colorado. You're near Denver, right?
Yeah, between Denver and Boulder. It's Westminster. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so where's your college allegiance lie?
So, well, I work at the University of Colorado Boulder, and I went to see Boulder, so I'm definitely a buff for sure.
Ooh, so that's
cheering on Coach Prime. It's a lot going on right now.
Yes. Okay. So, man, you're okay. I mean,
we're 4-1 this year.
You either love or hate him. I mean, it's one of those things. It's polarized.
Well, he's brought so much excitement to the university, right. So it's been fun. And I've worked on campus for almost 20 years. So yeah.
Travis Hunter should win the Heisman probably. I mean, it's unbelievable. He plays both ways every play.
But now the tickets have gotten so expensive that even with like this, sometimes they'll have employee discounts. It's so expensive. So I haven't gone to any games actually since Coach Prime started. So
college football's like that, man. It's we have season tickets for Mizzou, but we got them before. Like we had them when Mizzou was bad, and so we've had them since. And now they're, knock on wood, a lot better. So we hold on to those things. Like,
yes, yeah.
Like, do you want to renew? Yes. Just because
I wish I would have gotten in. My brother did, but I didn't. So he has a couple tickets. Yeah.
That's those things like, yes, because we sat through all the butt kickings. So we want to see some wins now. So let's go. Big game this weekend against the Aggies. All right. So let's talk some Disney here. So we get the notes ready and we'll get started. This is episode 2568. Monday, no holidays, no nothing. Nope. Oops. Close that so it doesn't keep beeping. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2568 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend and your team won. But of course, I can't talk about it because I don't know. We record this before the weekend happens. And I am not going to say one thing about my team, my Mizzou Tigers, because you know me, I'm superstitious. And I just want to live in the positive that it did happen in the right way. Because who knows? And I'm a Mizzou fan and I've been scarred my whole life. So that's just how it is. It's PTSD of Mizzou football. But I'm hoping that it all fell down the right way down in College Station. But we're going to have a good time today. Either way, talking Disney. That is what this show is all about. Virtual trips to our favorite places. And today, we're headed to Walt Disney World. But right now, we're headed out near Denver, Colorado, out to Central Colorado. So with us, Vanessa joining us on the Mile High area of our country. Vanessa, happy Monday. What's up?
Hi, Mike. Yes, I'm so happy to finally join the podcast. I've been listening for a while now, and it's fun to get to share one of our recent trips. So happy to be here.
So glad to have you. So how is fall out in the Rockies? It's got to be just a beautiful place to be this time of year.
Yes, everyone, there's a lot of, great drives you can take within like an hour of the Denver area to go see the leaves, the aspen trees. It's beautiful. We're seeing some changing colors now, but it's still very hot. So hopefully it'll cool down soon, because I love the fall, especially running weather and when it gets a little cool. But we've gotten a couple cool days, but it's still hot.
So yeah, exactly. I know it's one of those, you guys really aren't in the Midwest, you're out in the plains and the mountain area, but we're in the Midwest here in Missouri, and it's one of those things, right? It's like, it could be 40 degrees in the morning. And so you go out the door in the morning, you have a sweater on or a hoodie, and then, you pop out at lunchtime and it's 80 degrees. You're like, you're sweating. You're like, well, I don't have shorts on. It's that time of the year. Like, you just don't know what season it is. Is it spring? Is it winter? Is it summer? So, but
yeah, we sent my sixth grader, because he went up for like in sixth grade in Colorado, the kids all go to like outdoor lab. They go up to the mountains, and they of course tell you to bring all this, like bring your winter coat, bring all these things just in case. Well, in all of that planning, we only sent him with one pair of shorts, and it was really hot. So he wore the same pair of shorts for 4 days, because he only brought one pair, because they tell you to bring all the pants, but we forgot. Oh yeah, it's still hot. Bring some shorts. So
wait, he's a 12-year-old boy? I mean,
yeah, he didn't care.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, he would have only worn one pair of shorts.
That's true. Regardless of what we sent him with, he just would have worn the same thing anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, I'd have been overpacking. Exactly. I mean, I was just thinking. So anyway, you did it right. It's just he didn't have to carry all the other stuff. Okay, so let me ask you this question real quick about where you are. So geographically, so you're in Colorado. Do you consider Disneyland or Walt Disney World to be like your closer or your home location? Like St. Louis, I think, is more like drawn to Walt Disney World in Florida. If I had to guess, like most people in St. Louis are more drawn to Florida.
Yeah, I would say for us, it's more Disneyland. I mean, it's realistically drivable, although most people probably would not choose to drive. They would fly still. But growing up, we actually did, because I was from a big family. There were 7 kids, and even before my parents had 7, when they only had like 4 or 5, we would drive. We'd road trip to California and go to Disneyland. So you meet more people, I feel like, who if they've probably gone to Disneyland. And that's how I was for up until, honestly, just a few years ago. I finally went to Disney World for the first time. So
I was kind of guessing that, but I was just wondering, because I mean, it's a long way either way from
either way, you got to make a trip. You got a trip.
Even when I fly to Disneyland, a lot of times I will connect through Denver. That's like we're Southwest, either Denver, Vegas, or Phoenix is usually my 3 options. And I usually connect in Denver. It just happens to be. I like to see the mountains. So real quick, a little background on give us a quick story though, about maybe one of your trips growing up, going to Disneyland. What are some of your early memories, and what has you being such a passionate Disney fan? Something you remember from those early trips?
Yeah. I mean, I think, when I don't really remember I know we went when I was probably about 7 years old, and there's pictures that I don't really remember, but then I do remember my family, when I was about in 9th grade, we road tripped out and had an amazing time. And then when I graduated from high school, somehow we convinced my parents to let us take their minivan with some friends, and we drove to LA because we wanted to go on The Price is Right. We didn't actually get on, but we went and watched it. We didn't get called up, unfortunately, and we also went to Disneyland. So I had gone like a few times, and I always loved it. And I liked the planning and all of that. And then, as an adult, I had gone a couple more times, but I had not at any point taken my kids. So like, that was kind of the big thing. Like, okay, when am I going to get to take my kids to Disneyland? But we did grow up going a few times, because we didn't take that many vacations, but Disneyland was one of the few we did road trip to do.
So wait, in high school, you convinced your parents when you were in high school to take.
Well, I just graduated.
Still, like, I mean, when Mallory graduates, I guess would I let her drive halfway across the country to go to a TPIR taping in Disneyland? I'm just trying to think, because right now I'm having a hard. We had this conversation in the Discord the other day about how Ryan Williams of Alabama is 17 years old, catching crucial touchdowns to defeat the whole state of Georgia, like break their hearts. He's like 6 months older than my daughter. And Mallory, I swear I can't have her keep her cell phone charged. Like that battle. She will not leave the house with more than 5% of her phone charged before she goes to homecoming. Like, What? We're the same age.
I mean,
okay.
in fairness, they did say they wanted my
driving.
older sister to go with us. So my older sister was 2 years older, and they basically said if she goes too, you can go, which was fine because she was friends with my friends too. But still,
That's
they let us take their minivans. I think we left them like with just my dad. I think my dad's truck or something. So my younger siblings will still talk about how mad they were that we got to go to Disneyland and they were home like doing whatever. So yeah.
So you got to see a taping though of Price is Right, like
we did when it was still Bob Barker. Yeah, so it was like my dream to get on Price is Right, and so it didn't happen, but it was fun to go see it taped. Yeah.
So I mean, I geek out because I'm a game show like fanatic. I love that kind of stuff. That is so. Was it Drew Carey or
no? It was actually still Bob Barker then.
Oh no, I love Bob Barker. He's a famous Missourian. That's
really?
God.
Oh
yeah.
No, yes. It was, and my friends, like my best friend, we like started talking about wanting to do this in like 7th or 8th grade. We were like, we'll go on Price is Right someday when we graduate. So we've been planning this trip for years. And I actually just recently joked with some of the friends that went on the trip. I'm like, this will be our 25th high school reunion, next year. And I was like, we should go back and try to go on Price is Right as like a 25 reunion from that first trip. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So real quick though, I mean, on how far is it to go from like Television City or Burbank or wherever they do the show, like where they record all these TV shows to Disneyland? Because I've been to Disneyland 3 times and I've, we went to a Dodgers game. We went to Griffith Park. We kind of did the LA thing. Is it far?
Anaheim from because that all was closer, really like LA. And my best friend still lives in LA. But yeah, it was maybe about an hour to Anaheim, maybe not even quite an hour. So I can't remember all the details. We stayed. Someone's parents had like points at a hotel. I remember we stayed at a hotel like more in the LA area, but then we drove down to Anaheim to go to Disneyland. So
epic trip, man. Those are combining 2 of my loves, man. Disneyland and seeing the price.
Well, next time you go out, you should try to go on Price is Right while you're there. Yeah.
I want to try to find the Big Brother house because I did apply to be on Big Brother, but I wouldn't do it anymore because I couldn't do something for 3 months. But I did do an audition tape for Big Brother 24. I was in that summer. I was going to do it. Didn't get picked, and so I drove all the way to Kentucky to try out.
To audition. Well, and I told you this on email, like. Survivor as much anymore, but I'm the same way. I've never watched Big Brother, but I've applied for Survivor so many times, like since I even first turned 21. So I don't know. I mean, it'd be hard to leave my kids, but now it's shorter since COVID. So yeah.
There is a Survivor audition.
We're very similar in our love for Disney and our love for trying to get on a game show.
Yes, there's a Survivor audition tape from after season 1. I made one for season 2 with my students when I was teaching 6th grade. It's pretty epic too, man.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, man. My whole class was
in
on it.
You should apply again, especially with your podcast and all the Disney stuff. You'd be great.
I don't think so. My wife, because now I'm married, and my wife's like, dude, you get a headache and you're down for 3 days. Like, as soon as you didn't get to eat, you'd be kicked off so fast because you complain. You want like 4 hours in, you'd be like, I need to go eat. And like, you got to sit there for 3 days and have 2 scoops of rice. She's like, you need 5,000 calories. Anyway, she's like, you're not built for Survivor. You're old. Anyway,
I talk a big game, but I probably wouldn't. I don't love being dirty. Like I'm not really great in the outdoors. So I want to play the game, but I'm not necessarily like, I'm sure I would hate all those things too, but
I'm old and grouchy. I couldn't do it anymore. Just like, God, give me some food. Somebody go get me a fish. Cook it. Because I can't fish. Okay, so let's talk about this trip. You guys were down there over spring break, and this is really the time that if you're looking at traveling for spring break next year, 2025, you need to get that on the books like ASAP because Disney just dropped a new discount last week, and this is good, man. There's some great deals out there for Walt Disney World packages for spring break, but man, those hotels are filling up quickly. And you guys were down, you had an extended trip. So how did this all come together? And you guys were celebrating something pretty cool. So let's talk about this.
Yeah. We had actually, just backing up a tiny bit, I had never taken my kids to Disneyland or Disney World, and we had wanted to go. And then my family actually had originally wanted to do a big trip to Disney World because most of us had never been at that time. And we had planned this big trip for 2020. Well, of course, that ended up getting canceled. And so then my husband and I finally just took our kids to Disney World the next year. And then we decided to take them to Disneyland because that's what I grew up going to. So we had actually taken our kids. So we had kind of like okay, I had gone to do a half marathon at, doing one of the Disney races. So I had kind of felt like, oh, we've done Disney, a few times over the last few years. We probably aren't going to go again for a few more years. Well, then my mother-in-law told us that for my in-laws were going to be celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary in 2024. So she had said, hey, what I really want to do is go to Disney World with everyone. And spring break worked out because my kids, are in elementary school. So that was going to be a time when they would be out of school. So we kind of just based it on my mother-in-law especially wanted to do Disney World with the grandkids, and spring break was a good time. So that's kind of how it turned out, that we were going to go to Disney World with, my husband's family, which is not as big as my family, but it was still, my two kids, my nephew who was 5, who had never been. So it was he was the first timer, and then my in-laws, and then my brother and sister-in-law, and my husband's other brother. So that's kind of how it all came together.
So, and we're going to talk about this because you guys stayed kind of on-site but off-site. You stayed at Bonnet Creek, which I want to talk about that because I think everybody's kind of like, you drive past it all the time, like when you're over,
Yeah, what is that place? Yeah.
I see the sign, right? No, the looks kind of, what is that? So we'll talk about that in a second. But let me ask you this before we get into that. Like you had been there, so you had some grasp of the size, the scope, the complexity of Walt Disney World as opposed to Disneyland. How did you prepare the folks who hadn't been to World to temper their expectations or to get them ready for what they were stepping into when they arrived in Orlando?
Yes, and you are correct, because I am the one who probably likes to plan the most and does all the research. So I was really the one kind of, at least on the Disney element of the trip, kind of the one planning. Well, I think a couple of things. So I probably wouldn't have, if I were just planning my own trip to Walt Disney World, I probably would tend to not pick a time like spring break because it's probably going to be busy, but I didn't have control over any of that. And in some ways that was fine. And because I kind of embraced, my husband was laughing because he's like, you're not good at embracing doing a Disney trip with this many people and kind of not having full control. But I was like, no, I'm going to go with the flow. Our kids have already gotten to go. This is almost like a bonus trip. Yep. And I wanted to make it more about being together with everyone. And so we kind of just asked everyone, what are some things you really want to do? Kind of what's on your must-do list? Because I wanted to make sure, especially my nephew who had never been, and he's 5, I really wanted to make sure we got to do special things that my sister and brother-in-law wanted him to get to do since it was his first trip. My boys had been, and so I kind of just asked them, well, what are your top 3 rides or things you want to do? So we kind of had everyone's list of what they really wanted to do. And it was all very reasonable, nothing too crazy. And so that was kind of how we prepared. And then the other thing we did was, we were there for, a full week because my parents, again, Bonnet Creek is a timeshare, as I can talk about that later. But so we had a full week, but we decided to only do 2 park days. And I think that also helped because it put a little bit less maybe pressure on being so go, because we knew we were going to get a lot of down days at the pool and things like that. So I think that helped everyone just to not feel so overwhelmed, because if we had been trying to do every park, it would have just been even more planning and less downtime. So I think that helped a lot.
Right. Especially with the crowds, and sometimes the heat can get to you, especially, if you're talking with folks that are just not used to the humidity, and, you walk into that could be a lot, because you got the humidity building on top of the heat, building on top of 25,000 steps. And maybe you're used to taking 2,000-3,000 steps a day. It's cumulative on day 3, 4, 5. So great stride. Well, let's talk about Bonnet Creek though for a second. So like you mentioned, it's not a Disney property, but it is sitting right there, kind of catty corner from Old Key West. If you drive past there over on a Buena Vista Drive, tell us about that, because I think a lot of people are curious, what's back there behind that sign.
Yeah. And my understanding is, because it's a timeshare, I think it's a Wyndham property. So my in-laws have, it's the kind of timeshare where you can use your points at a lot of different places, and Bonnet Creek's one of the places. So my mother-in-law had saved up her points, because we ended up getting it was pretty much like an apartment. We had a kitchen with a living room, and then I think there were at least 3 or 4 bedrooms with their own bathrooms, and then they rented another one too, just for them. So anyway, we had a fair amount of stuff. It's a really large property. They have, I think, 4 or 5 pools, like all kind of themed a little differently. Like a couple have lazy rivers, a couple have slides for the kids. There's like mini golf there. They have like events going on. Like one day there was like a animal expert there, and he was showing like lizards and snakes and stuff, like, and doing shows. So I think they do a lot of entertainment for people, just, and there's like a big lake. So it actually was really nice. I mean, you're right, it is a huge property, but it worked out well. And yeah, I think there's like a few arcades for the kids and stuff like that.
That makes it nice though, because like you said, that basically it's a resort in itself, because you got plenty to do there. Like you said, because I've looked at it on Google Earth, right? I've never stayed there, but I'm like, wow, because you always drive past it, and as Disney geeks, we're always peeking behind the scenes, like, where does that road go, or what's that?
Yes.
If I follow that creek, where's that creek? Does that go into World Showcase Lagoon, or does that go to that body of water at Caribbean Beach? Where's that go? How can we connect all this? I've looked at Bonnet Creek, and I'm like, dang, that's big. There's a lot going on back there.
And I wasn't sure. The one thing we were like looking into, because there was kind of different I saw different things about whether you could use the Disney transportation, but it's really not on the Disney transportation system. I think there might be a way to pay, but by the time we would have paid, it was like, well, we might as well just take our cars and park. It was basically going to be easier to do that. So that was one, because I've only actually stayed at Walt Disney World one other time for my trip where I did my run. And I mean, it was so nice to have the transportation. So we didn't have that, but it worked out again, because we were only doing 2 days, and both of those days we were going to go the entire day. So we weren't planning to like leave midday or anything like that.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about your 2 days in the park. So you guys did Magic Kingdom in the studios. So obviously, I mean, Magic Kingdom's kind of your park you're obviously going to do, because it has like the nostalgia. It's very similar to Disneyland. Why'd you pick the studios for your second park over Epcot or Animal Kingdom? Because I think a lot of folks that come from Disneyland kind of point of view, I've noticed people that are Disneyland folks love either Epcot or Animal Kingdom because they are so different.
Yeah, it's something you can't do.
Coast, right? They're so like Disneyland people love Epcot and Animal Kingdom, man. They lose their stuff over those two parks usually, but probably for your age kids, they got a lot going on, I guess.
I probably would have chosen Epcot as our other park, but for this one, I kind of again let my brother, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they didn't really care, because they just wanted to be with everyone, so they would have done whatever. But my brother and sister-in-law with my nephew, who's 5, since he had never been, it was kind of their first trip. I kind of just said, well, for you guys, what do you want to do? And they wanted to do Hollywood Studios, I think, because they thought Toy Story Land would be fun, and even Galaxy's Edge. And so, and my kids, of course, love Galaxy's Edge. Like they want to do all those rides. So they were happy with that as well. So yeah, it's always a hard decision, because you're there, you're like, oh my gosh, let's just do one more. Maybe we could add a day where we park hop. We considered all those options, but at the end of the day, just that balance of like, let's have more rest days and not go too hard at the parks. But so we picked those two.
So talk to us about your Magic Kingdom day. So I see that you guys did use Lightning Lanes, or no, you didn't use Lightning Lanes or Genie Plus for Magic Kingdom. So you had plenty to do, had a good day, I guess.
Yeah, well, so my husband was like, what? You're not going to buy Genie Plus? Because he knows I like to plan, and I'm like, it's spring break, it's going to be busy,
right.
So I kind of, again, I was trying to be very go with the flow. I asked everyone, like, here's what it helps with, like, we can get it. And for that first day, everyone was like, no, I don't think we need it. We don't know how many rides, like, for example, my 5-year-old nephew was even going to want to do. And so we didn't get it. And it ended up working out fine. Honestly, I was starting to write down like every ride we did. And I was like, we did a ton that day, even without Lightning Lanes. So, again, different strategy than what my normal would be. But we went first to Tomorrowland because we knew he would like Buzz Lightyear. And we of course were not, we weren't on property guests. So we got there, I think because I like to be there early. So we got there early. I think the park opened at 9 that day, but we got there at 8. So we got in, but we weren't rushed because we couldn't go off to the rides, until 9. So we took our picture on Main Street. We got coffee. We kind of just took pictures and waited a little bit. So we were really the first people, other than the hotel, the on-site property folks. But at 9 a.m. we went straight to Tomorrowland, and course, there's no line for Buzz Lightyear at that time. So we rode that. Of course, my nephew loved it. He wanted to ride it again. So he rode it again. And a few other people in our group went to Space Mountain because it was like early. So they thought, let's go do that. And a few of us stayed and did Buzz Lightyear. So we kind of just took it like a little bit at a time and stayed in that area. We had actually done the one thing my kids really wanted to do was Tron, because they hadn't done that yet. And we had gotten our virtual queue at that time. It was still virtual queue for Tron. And so that was another reason we were like, well, let's start at Tomorrowland because we'll be over there when our virtual queue comes up. So we kind of just, again, like we ended up going over and doing like the Tomorrowland Speedway, the teacups kind of stuff in Fantasyland that was on that side. And then we did Tron. And again, because we didn't have Lightning Lane, I really was just kind of looking at the ride times and kind of just basing it off of what everyone wants to do. We ended up, another thing I really wanted to do with my kids, because we had never gone to Tom Sawyer's Island with them. And so we kind of tried to think about things we could do that even if there's a long line in the middle of the day, so we went over to Tom Sawyer's Island. We got lucky a few times because Big Thunder was down, which is my very favorite ride. But then right as we were going over to Tom Sawyer's Island, we saw it was running again. So we like booked it over there and got to ride it with no line. And then again, my nephew ended up wanting to ride so much more than we thought. So at night, we tried to stay together most of the day, but a couple times we split up to do different things. My in-laws and my husband's brother really wanted to go watch fireworks, so they left early to go get like a good spot for fireworks. But those of us with the kids, we said, well, why don't we still try to do a few things in Fantasyland? Well, we got lucky that I didn't even realize this, but apparently during the fireworks, everyone gets out of the line for some of these rides because we got on Peter Pan with like no wait because everyone was watching the fireworks. And so we rode Peter Pan. And then after the fireworks were done, we went and rode Seven Dwarfs Mine Train again with no line. And I wasn't even thinking we would get to do those things because, again, we weren't doing Genie Plus or Lightning Lane. And I was honestly shocked almost at how much we got to do, even just kind of going with the flow and kind of keeping an eye on the ride times throughout the day.
Well, too, and the way you approached it from the morning is kind of the way I think Walt wanted you to visit the park back in the 50s, right? You just kind of went land to land and just, okay, we're going to explore Tomorrowland. We're going to do what's offered over here. We're going to hit, Buzz Lightyear. We're going to do the People Mover. We're going to do the teacups with Jason. We're going to do the Speedway. We're going to see this land. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next area. In Blessing, you got to go to Tom Sawyer Island, and got to explore that, find out, hey, that might be something that you might not have gotten to do, ever again. It's funny how those things work out because your kids will maybe have that memory and that would have been something they might not have ever got to experience before, if
I didn't feel that pressure. Exactly. I didn't feel the pressure because I was like, well, I wasn't expecting to go on as many rides as maybe I typically would. And yet, even despite that, we still did so much. We did, pretty much every ride that you can think of, Haunted Mansion, Pirates, we did it all. But yeah, speaking of Tom Sawyer Island, my husband, he likes to do the Hidden Mickeys. So we had our little Hidden Mickeys book, and there were so many on Tom Sawyer Island. And our kids just had so much fun. We didn't even know where they were for a part of the time because they were playing hide and seek or something. But you're not really worried because it's like they're right there somewhere. But they were having a great time. And I had actually told my sister, because she went recently, I was like, don't miss Tom Sawyer and your kids are going to love it. And she said that was one of their favorite things that they got to do.
It's unexpected, right? And I understand, I'm not getting into the whole controversy of how they're going to change it into the Cars area, which I get it, times change, but it's so cool. I don't see how kids couldn't enjoy it because it's free play and that's what kids do when they're given the chance. I think they have to get over there to actually they have to be in the experience though. I don't think they're going to necessarily seek it out intentionally, but you throw them into those caves and into Fort Langhorne and stuff like that. They're going to have fun. Like it is just old school fun, but you can't tell them it's old school fun. Just let them at it and get after it. It's just, I'm 50 years old. I have a blast over there.
One funny story was that, and that maybe this like highlights sometimes my intensity, even though I was trying to go with the flow, because I was like, okay, we had decided we were going to, I think, go to Pirates next or something. And I saw that the raft, we were going to get over to the raft that was leaving Tom Sawyer Island. And my husband had gone to the restroom, but I felt like he was taking a while. But the raft, it looked like they were about to leave. So I go up to the door and I yell, and the raft is leaving.
You're going to have to swim.
And then this guy comes out of the restroom. Well, it turns out it's the raft, the guy who drives the raft, like the cast member and he's like, no, he goes, no, it's not leaving. It can't leave without me. And so he laughed at me. So my husband was like, oh my gosh, you're yelling into the men's bathroom because you think we're going to miss the raft. But again, we didn't miss it. And the cast member who drove the raft laughed at me. So
I have the oars. We're good. I was talking to him at the sink. Oh my God, that's a great story. I gotta give you a thing on that. That's a great story. He's sitting there like, yeah, we got this under control. Real quick, what were the kids' favorite attractions? Was it Buzz for the nephew, or what'd your kids think of Tron? Was it their favorite, or
my 11-year-old loved Tron. He said that was his favorite. My 8-year-old, he actually really likes Space Mountain, so he said that was his favorite. My nephew, I mean, again, I was so like proud and surprised that he wanted to go on so much. And even if he wouldn't have, we would have had a great time. But he was really brave and loved everything. I think he really loved Buzz because that's probably the one he wanted to do over and over again. So at Magic Kingdom, that was probably his favorite. But he also liked Winnie the Pooh. He liked that Goofy coaster. So he had a few that he really liked.
I still call it Barnstormer.
Barnstormer, exactly. Barnstormer.
That's what it's called anymore. That's what it was called when we used to take Mallory on it. I just know when you're 6'3", it just busts up your knees when you got.
Well, that's like me. I always call the Tomorrowland Speedway Autopia because I'm used to the Disneyland version, and then
because at Marceline they have they still have the old Autopia cars up there. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your day at the studio. So now this day you did buy Genie Plus. So
yes,
what was the opposite?
Yeah, my sister-in-law. So after our Magic Kingdom day, we had like a great day, and then we had a day off. And she was saying, she's like, I think it worked out. She basically had said we got to do everything we wanted to do, but she did feel like, we had waited in. I mean, really, honestly, the lines were not that long, but we probably waited in lines a little longer just because we didn't have it. So she was like, why don't we try getting it for Hollywood Studios Day? Well, of course, I'm happy about that because I'm like, ooh, then I can plan and strategize. Exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly. So we did that. So I booked it, that morning I had to wake up and book it because we hadn't like pre-booked it. And I think what I did got us a Slinky Dog Dash for, I don't remember what time it was, like maybe noon or something like that. That was like the first time we could get. So I figured, well, let's just get that because I know, that'll be a fun one for everyone. And so we got to Hollywood Studios and the people who go to the parks probably a lot more than I do probably know this better than I did. But at Magic Kingdom, they actually let us in early to go down Main Street. But at Hollywood Studios, if you're not staying on property, they actually held you at the ticket place until 9 a.m. So we didn't even walk in until 9 a.m. And we decided to go straight to Toy Story Land because even though we had a Lightning Lane pass, we figured, well, let's just go there first because that's still an area of the park we wanted to go. So we ended up going there, and of course, Slinky Dog Dash, there wasn't really that long of a line. So we got in line. We probably waited 15 minutes, and so we didn't even. That was just standing in line, and then we ended up going back later and using our Lightning Lane. So that was pretty cool. And then we did other things in Toy Story Land because my nephew wanted to meet Buzz, and some of the Incredibles characters were over not too far. So we did some characters, and we ended up doing all 3 rides in Toy Story Land, and kind of just, again, not going too fast. We just like got a snack and like kind of enjoyed that time there. And then we didn't go to Galaxy's Edge yet. I had thought that's what we would do, but I can't remember what our next Lightning Lane was. But we ended up, I think, going over and doing like Star Tours, and we saw the Indiana Jones show, which was fun because my kids had never seen that, because when we had gone in 2021, there were still some things closed from COVID. And so I really wanted to, so that was a fun show for them. And then I think we might have used our Lightning Lane for Tower of Terror. And I was shocked that my 5-year-old nephew did it. And
he enjoyed it. Went on Tower? Okay.
Yes, he went on it and he liked it. I was shocked because even my 8-year-old had never been on it, and he did go, but that was his first time. And so that we took a picture of all of them because they all, my 8-year-old and the 5-year-old all went. So they were excited about that. And yeah, we ended up eventually going over to Galaxy's Edge because my nephew really wanted to see Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. And so we went over there. We, I think, did our, oh my gosh, not Millennium Falcon, the Millennium Falcon ride. I'm blanking on the name now. But
yeah.
Yes, exactly. So we did that ride. And I was thinking, well, we're probably not going to get to do Rise. Like the line's going to be too long all day. And, and that's okay. I it wasn't on anyone's like must-do list. Of course, I love that ride. I think it's so amazing. And so I kept looking because at one point the ride went down while we were in Galaxy's Edge. And so we were like, looking at some of the shops and seeing characters, and we had already done the Millennium Falcon ride. So then all of a sudden I see that Rise is up, and I'm like, I'm trying to remain calm. I'm like, everyone, let's walk over there. We're not running, but we're walking quickly. And we go over there, and we probably waited 20 minutes to ride Rise of the Resistance. It was like such amazing, I was like, I didn't even think we were going to get to ride that ride. But anyway, so that was really cool. And everyone loved that ride, including my 5-year-old nephew. So that was fun.
Man, and again, this was spring break, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember, this isn't like, Labor Day weekend or something.
And we were a little on the earlier side. I don't know. Our school just happened to have a slightly earlier break. So I looked, we were there like the week of the 18th. And I think maybe the last 2 weeks in March might've been a little busier. But again, I was shocked. I thought it was going to be way busier than it. I mean, of course it's busy, but it was just, again, the amount of things we still got to do between even having Lightning Lane and not, I was really surprised by in a good way.
Well, too, as somebody who works in travel, one of the questions I get is like, when is spring break at Walt Disney World? I get this question. Plus I worked in education for 17 years.
Right? So every week, basically.
I'm going to ask you because you are the perfect person to ask because you were a teacher and a travel agent. So you should know. I'll tell you what, spring break now can fall anywhere from like late February until like the middle of April, until the end of Easter, because colleges get out for spring break so early now. It's crazy. It's almost after like President's Day weekend, like it's fair game for spring break all the way through like Easter. I mean, so anytime in there, you can kind of consider that spring break. So I think you were kind of in the heart of it, to be honest, and you're still doing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of kept an eye on ride times the week after we left, and again, they were comparable, maybe a couple times longer, but really, so it was. I still felt like we just didn't choose to get in line for any ride that was like a super long line, but we usually were able to, again, getting there early. We got to do some of those longer ones early, and then we got lucky a couple times, like with the Rise. That was just kind of getting lucky that we were in the area when it reopened. And yeah, we saw a lot of characters. Even my husband's brother, he's an adult, he doesn't have kids, but he like really wanted to get a picture with Goofy, so he got, and we, took my nephew to that little Cars show, and he liked that, and just kind of those breaks in the day where it's like hot and you're just getting to go in and like sit down for a second were nice, because I haven't really touched on this, but because we were a large group, we didn't really book any like dining ahead of time. So we just did quick service, and it ended up working out for this trip just because we didn't have to plan around like a dining reservation. And, we had a lot of people. So it was like, well, people might want different things at different times of day. And so it ended up working out because if someone wanted a snack, they just got a snack. Or we stopped a couple times for quick service. We went to that one that's right by Star Tours and like covered, I can't remember the name of it, but like
Backlot Express, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and that worked out great. And then I think actually for dinner that night at Hollywood Studios, that was one of the rare times where like everyone kind of was feeling different things. So like my husband and I took our kids and we went to the commissary. Is that the
that's home of my favorite buffalo chicken grilled cheese.
Right. Ooh, I didn't get that. I should have. Yeah. So we went there, and then I think my sister-in-law and with my 5-year-old nephew, I think they didn't really want a full meal, so they just went and got like ice cream or something. So we kind of a couple times split up like that, but then we met back up. I think we did one of our final lightning lanes was to do the Midway Mania, because we'd already done it, but we did it again because we had the lightning lane. And then the one thing, because we had missed fireworks the night before, which was okay, because I think my nephew was like a little scared of the fireworks, but then we really wanted to do Fantasmic because I had never seen it, and it wasn't available when we had taken our kids in 2021. So we like wanted to get there early, and I love Fantasmic. I thought it was so good. We all loved it.
Have you seen it at Disneyland, or you've never seen it?
No, I had never seen it anywhere. I guess I had missed it because at Disneyland they do it differently, right? It's like by the river.
Yeah, it's right there outside of the Haunted Mansion, like right
So
across.
I had seen
right
a lot of the fireworks shows. I've seen World of Color at California Adventure. Like I've seen a lot of them, but I'd never seen the like sit down watch Phantasmic. And I feel like it was one of my favorite ones. I loved it.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm glad you got to see it because it is either one, like World or Land. They're different experiences. Like Land, you're like right on top of it. I mean, you're standing.
I'm gonna have to go see it at Disneyland. I don't know how I've missed that in the years I've gone. So
it's I like it out there because it's like new to me because I've seen it in World like so many times because it's been going for like 20 years now, more than 20 years. And I've seen it probably 30, 40 times. Right. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's my wife's favorite, nighttime spectaculars. And I love them. Obviously I love the music. It's our intro, but, but like Land, I've only seen it a few times. It's got a big pirate ship that comes in, sneaks in on you. It's just, I love they have two like shows, but they're different. That's what I like about it. But great music.
Well, and since I had never seen it when the music came on, I'm like, oh, this is my podcast music. Like, this is
I don't want to get shut down.
I didn't say that, but I was thinking, I was like, oh, because it was so familiar to me because I listened to the podcast. And I was like, I honestly, I guess I had never fully put it together that that's what it's from, just because I'd never seen Phantasmic. So that was fun. But I just love that there were like actual like characters, like, like Aladdin climbing up the thing. And then you also had the fireworks and you also had the, music. It felt like it combined everything. So we all really enjoyed that. And that was like a really fun way to like close out the Disney trip, because we were only doing 2 parks. So I thought it was a great kind of end experience.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes. The intro is my wife's favorite nighttime spectacular, and the outro is my favorite nighttime spectacular. So there you go.
Okay, and which one is that again?
Illuminations.
Oh, Illumination. That's right. Okay. Yeah,
so there you go. That's why we have the music for the 2 intros and outros.
I've heard the music. I just always forget what they're from. So,
so there's a little BOGP trivia for you today. Okay, real quick. So you did do a little resort hopping. You got to ride one of my favorite rides at Walt Disney World, the Skyliner. I also like the monorail. So you went around and got to do that. You also checked out Coronado. So I like that. I mean, you had time to kind of just explore the resort itself, right?
Yeah, one day, because I've only ever been to a couple, like I haven't stayed on property very much. So we didn't all go, but a few of us in our group wanted to go around to hotels. So we took we wanted to try the Skyliners. I think we took the bus to one of the resorts and then got on the Skyliner. And then we went and saw the I think I put in my email too, but I'm blanking. The one that had the Easter eggs out and
probably Grand Floridian, maybe.
Yes, the Grand Floridian. So I really wanted to go see the Grand Floridian. So we walked around the grounds and, it's amazing. And then they had all these like, intricate Easter eggs decorated inside that you could walk around and see. So that was fun. And then we went to Beach Club and we kind of just went to a few different places and took the Skyliner and just enjoyed that. So that was fun too, again, because we had days where we weren't, I think we went to Disney Springs that same day. And so some of our group after Disney Springs went home. And then those of us that wanted to do the park hopping or the hotel wanted to check out a few resorts, we did that. So that was really fun because I have a friend who's actually going to be staying at the Grand Floridian in October. She's going with her kids for the first time. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it's the pool. The pool looked amazing. I mean, it was fun just to walk around and see that. So
it's a great place. I got to stay there last year and I never thought I'd stay there. Like when I stayed there, I'm like, cause I thought it was, like grandma's resort,
Right. Yeah. It kind of looks like it's a little old fashioned, but like super fancy. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like the whole time first of all, like when I first started going to Disney, I didn't think I was even allowed to like walk through there because, like it was like lifestyles of the rich and famous. And like,
yeah, you're like, are we allowed in here?
I'm not even allowed to go through there. Like if the monorail drops me off there, they're going to like throw me off the platform. I've learned like at Disney's for everybody and they'll let you go in there and get, you can actually eat at Grand Floridian Cafe if you want, you can get a reservation or go to Gasparilla's. And I've learned that they'll even let you stay there, so like, it's not stuffy. It's very nice. And I had a wonderful time. We got to swim in the pools and got to, I stayed in just your regular old resort view room. We had a blast just a couple nights before a cruise and we had so much fun. So let me ask you this because, a few things before we get out of here. One of the things you mentioned in your notes, and I think this is just really, this hit me well because you had this big group, right? And you had just various age groups and, you're very much go, go, go. And, you've run a marathon, you run races, you're very active. You're a planner. You enjoy the minutia of a Disney vacation. Like everybody listening to our show pretty much is like the
Yeah.
person who likes to dot the I's, cross the T's, and likes to plan things 7 years in advance and, modify the plan 72 times. That's what we do. I think the key word to this trip though was like balance, right? It was kind of letting everybody find their joy in the trip, right? Some people got the ride. Some people were fine sitting on a bench. Some people might have had ice cream for dinner. Some people might have gone for the value meal or, the whole enchilada. I mean, is that kind of how it worked out for the trip? And when everybody got home, kind of debrief, like, what did everybody say? Did that work well? Did anybody like have any regrets? I mean, did everybody get to do what they wanted?
No, I mean, everyone had so much fun. I feel like, again, I probably like sometimes go into these things with like the highest of expectations. So I think for my own self, I just kind of, one was remembering like, first of all, my in-laws, this was their 50th wedding anniversary. And this was really for them. Like they wanted to be together. So like we've done Disney and I tried to remember like this trip is really for them. Like this is what they're choosing to want to spend time as a family and get to go to Disney a couple days. And so we did prioritize being together. Like we did split up a couple of times, but for the most part, we stayed together for quite a bit because that was part of it. Like we made our t-shirts and my mother-in-law wanted to do t-shirts. And so we did that. And we took, when someone wanted to stop and take a picture, it was like, yeah, we're going to do that. Like, I didn't want it to be so go, go, go. And like, we have to check off everything. Cause what I've obviously learned, especially Disney World, is like, you can't do everything in one trip. You can go again. And every trip might have like for this trip, it was really about, I think the main things were like just being together, letting my 5-year-old nephew kind of experience it for the first time. So, and then of course my kids still had so much fun. Like I don't like my nephew, I think a couple times wanted to like, look for a souvenir, but maybe it was just the fact that we had taken our kids a couple times and they had already gotten souvenirs. They didn't ask for anything the whole time. Like they didn't want.
Gosh, that's the biggest win of ever. Oh
yeah, like my 11 and 8-year-old, I think we had said, oh, if you guys want to get a souvenir, they didn't even ask for a souvenir because they had already gotten to go, and so they just enjoyed it. And like we just, again, I think it was really just about going in, I think, with the mindset of, okay, almost like we're gonna have fun, but like for me at least, who's like a ride person, I kind of just like set my expectations low. Like I don't know how many rides my nephew want to do. The point is not to ride every ride, but to be together. And I think because I kind of everyone went in with that mentality of having just a few things on their list that they really wanted to do. I felt like everyone was really happy and had a great time. So no one felt like we were like a taskmaster, like we got to get here, run to the, we weren't doing that. And so I felt like everyone, and for my father-in-law, his thing was like, I want to be able to get coffee in the morning. So it's like, yeah, we'll make sure you can get your coffee, and if he wants to sit on a bench, that's fine. Like he doesn't have to go on every ride. And so we kind of just allowed everyone to get to do those things that they wanted to do. And it turned out to be a great time.
I'm so glad, because really it's always going to be about, we have this show, we've been doing it for almost 17 years, and it always boils down to making the memories with the people you're with, the people you love, and you travel with them, and it's people you care about, and I mean, I get to go so many times with Pam and Mallory and Paige when she gets a chance, but I have a great time going with Scott and his family, and, get to go with all the lizards at the race weekends. And it's, it's people I care about. It's my friends, it's my family, and it's a new memory every time, whether it's good or bad. We've had races canceled because of lightning, but we get out there like idiots and run around in the rain in 2017. It's a story I'll carry to my grave, because that was the best day. It was unexpected. It was disappointing. We turned it around. And I mean, that's what it was about. Now, final question before we get out of here, because we're on the show. This has been a great show with so many good tips, but also just heartwarming stories. Like when you got back, I mean, did you guys make like some kind of keepsake for the 50th anniversary? Like you got the shirts, that shirt's super cute, but you guys give like a picture of the trip to the in-laws, or like a photo book or something like that, or some kind of a memory keepsake or anything?
Well,
like that?
I mean, throughout the whole week, we actually planned quite a few special things that weren't like related to Disney. Like my husband, like we did like one night where we basically did trivia that was all centered around like their family history. And that was really fun. And then my sister-in-law like put together this amazing like photo album for them that was like just of pictures of like the family. So, and then we actually did, while we were at in Florida, we went out to like one nice dinner. It was like in more like downtown Orlando, and we like got a family picture taken. And so, yeah, so we, when we got back from the trip, like we did have like some pictures from Disney that we had taken as a group that gave to my in-laws framed. And then we also had our like family picture we had taken. So yeah, so there was a lot of special like things we got to do. That was, and again, like just such a special trip to get to celebrate their marriage and our family. And so, it wasn't necessarily like a Disney keepsake, but like we, had all the pictures we took of the trip, and then having that family picture was really special. So that was great.
I mean, they're going to look at those photos and just remember this trip and the great times they had with the family forever. And the great thing is everybody gets to have those memories in their heart, even down to the 5-year-old nephew, your kids, you guys, that's what it's all, everybody wins in this, and everybody.
My 11-year-old, so at Bonnet Creek, probably like the other resorts, they give you like a little wristband that's like your entry to the pools and stuff like that. He wore that wristband for like 3 months after we got home. I was like, that's so, he just like loved, I think it because it was like, he had such a fun time, and he just like loved his little, it didn't even, didn't even say anything cool on it. It just was like the wristband from the resort, but they had such a fun time that like that. And he still saved, even when he finally took it off, he was like using it as a bookmark. So anyway, it was a very like special trip, and yeah, we just had a great time.
That warms my heart, because really what that tells me is somebody, again, I'm just trying to draw conclusions here, but it's a tangible way to hold on to that memory. Really It is like, it was so special to him. That's a tangible piece of the vacation he just wants to hold on to. You should be proud of that, because, you helped put this all together, and you made memories for the whole family. So Vanessa, what a great way to start the week. I love having these shows on Mondays, because I truly think that if you get your mindset right, you can have a great week. And I just think that, if we can put these shows out on Sunday nights, if you can listen to this on your Monday morning commute, hopefully you got a few smiles on your face when you're listening to this on the ride in, or if you're getting your morning jog on the Monday morning. I know it's not fun, but sometimes you got to do it. But hopefully you picture yourself riding Buzz Lightyear, or going over to the studios and Slinky Dog dashing it, or, hey, with the father-in-law having a cup of coffee. That's your jam. Cool. But that's why we're here. We just want to help you remember the good times. And Vanessa, you painted the picture beautifully today. And thanks for taking us along. What a great story.
Well, thanks for having Mike. I've always wanted to come on and talk to you. And I love the podcast, and it's been a great help to me as I plan for these trips. So yeah, it was great to be here.
All right. Well, don't forget, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all the shows possible. We couldn't do it without you. And if you support us just $5 a month, you get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Coming over and check it out right now. It's at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Also, give me a follow on the social media at beourguestmike on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And we'll have our live call-in show this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. You can give us a call and be on the show. We'll talk all things Disney, have a mini trip report. We have a good time. Scott joins me. Again, phone lines are wide open. You're on the show. We're on 5 places: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Pick your destination. We'll be there Sunday night. And finally, the conversation goes all the time over in our clubhouse. It's free, no nonsense, no ads, just a lot of fun talk. So come on over and join us. beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. All right. So for Vanessa out in Colorado, I'm Mike here in Missouri, wishing you a great week. Get out there and make it awesome. So until we talk again on Wednesday, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Awesome. That was so good.
Yes, thank you. That was so much fun. It's fun to relive the trip, and I was looking forward to this. So
I'm so glad you could do it. That was a great show, because people are going to love that. It was just because it was just like so cool. Like, we got to talk a little. Nobody gets to go to Bonnet. We never talk about Bonnet Creek.
Yeah, I was going to say that can't be the most. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about it. Yeah, on your show. So
I think like once or twice. I mean, we've done 2,600 shows.
Right. You're right. Everything's been mentioned at least
once. A long draw. I mean, I can probably find it, but it would take me a while. No, that was super cool. I mean, your kids sound super cool too. So, and the 5-year-old riding tower.
I know he was like, and especially because a couple years earlier they had come out to Colorado, and we went to Water World, which is a water park. And I mean, he was younger, but he like would not ride anything. So we were really like, that's why I kind of set the expectation low, but he loved it. So, well, I'll let you get to your walk with your wife, but thank you so much. This was great.
All right. Well, you too. And thanks for the time. And if you ever need anything, just give me a yell in the email.
All right. You should keep applying to Big Brother or Survivor. You never know.
I'm too old now.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.